What is the trashiest thing you've ever witnessed? NSFW. Knew somebody who decided to have a home birth upon learning she wouldn't be allowed to smoke in the maternity ward. She literally drove to the hospital, in labor, and of course was stopped outside and told to put her cigarette out. Instead, she drove back home still in labor, mind you, ended up giving birth to her 8-pound baby on her back porch. I watched the following situation unfold. A woman was about to be arrested for public drunkenness. The cops were evidently feeling merciful and decided to put her into a cab. Instead, I guess this offended the woman. In response to being directed toward a cab, she lifted up her skirt, angled her urethra, and started to gush pee directly onto the cop's shoes. Angled her urethra, trying to picture this, but failing miserably, probably for the best. At a college party, in an apartment, seriously hot girl, Daisy Dukes and a halter top, maybe 5 feet tall arrives, walks around drinking, yells, "Somebody f*** me." One guy chats her up, and after 2 minutes, she drags him into the bedroom. 20 minutes later the guy comes out, grin on his face, nothing I hadn't seen before. Then, from the bedroom, send another dick in. Everyone looks at each other, no one moves. Maybe 15 guys at the party, almost as many girls. She walks to the bedroom door, naked, looks around, points at a guy, says "You, let's go." Guy goes. She f***ed 8 guys, coming to the doorway each time to pick a guy. After a couple guys, she is not even closing the door. Last 3 to 4 guys, she is standing there with cum running down her legs. Early 80s. Condoms were not a thing in white bread college. I managed to avoid being picked by hanging in the kitchen, watching through the island cabinet gap. She walks out after 8, wearing the shorts and halter, cum all down her legs, drinks a cup of party punch, leaves. Find out later she was 16, a townie, and had done it before. A woman getting caught stealing at Home Depot and then peeing through her pants to try and get the loss prevention guy to let go of her. I can still hear him clear as day. What the ****** lady? Why? A girl was giving a guy head in the smoking room of a bar. The bartender on duty finds out and attempts to break up the festivities. The guy who was being pleasured proceeds to bite the bartender's finger off. Thankfully, this was really close to a hospital and they managed to reattach his finger. Runner-up. First Denver Nuggets game I ever went to. There was a homeless dude shitting on the sidewalk outside the arena. He had a huge grin on his face, and some guy was standing a few feet away, taking pictures on his smartphone and laughing. Guy the first played football with lived in a trailer park. Took his 14-year-old cousin to prom. She ended up pregnant, and he went to jail for statutory rape. I saw a woman hold her toddler son out of her car window doing about 35 miles per hour while he peed. My life's never been the same. When I was 9 years old, I had a good friend that had a very trashy family. My parents would never let me stay overnight at her house. For some reason this one time my mom said I could. Her mistake. My friend fell asleep while we were watching a movie in the living room that evening with her 15-year-old brother, who was already missing one front tooth. After a while he whispers, "Hey look." I turned to look at him and witness my first hard dick. He's got his pants pulled down just enough to show it, meanwhile grinning at me. Then starts begging me to suck it until I tell him I'm going to wake up his sister and tell her if he doesn't stop. He quit. When the movie was over, I woke her up and said we should go to bed. So the two of us got upstairs to her bedroom and go to bed. Lucky for me her brother's room is downstairs. Now, her parents had newspaper laid out on the floor in the corner of her room and a coffee can sitting in the middle of it. I didn't ask her why. I wake up in the middle of the night and need to pee. I make my way down the stairs heading to the bathroom. Halfway down I see her mom laying on the couch with her nightgown pulled up and her dad standing in front of her with his pants down. The mom looks at me, whispers something and the dad turns and sees me, bam, seeing my second hard dick in my life. In one night. He yanks his pants up and runs to me yelling, "Get your ass back upstairs." I told him I needed to use the bathroom. He yells, "That's what the coffee can in the bedroom is for." I ran to the bathroom, shut the door, turn on the light, watch the cockroaches scatter, and pee real quick. I run back up to the bedroom and lay awake all night. In the morning I go to the kitchen and use the phone to call my mom to come get me ASAP while watching my friend's mom with a gallon jug of milk, half full, adding water to it until the jug is full. So yeah, that was the trashiest thing I've ever witnessed. I'm a paramedic, and we get called for an active maternity call. As we pull up, there's 4 cops outside absolutely losing their shit, which is normally a sign that there's something unholy going on inside, because normally visions of press releases, medals, and sugar plums dance in cops' heads at maternity calls. We go inside to find a 5th cop, a female, starring in mute horror. The mother is standing there with the baby on the ground, not breathing, umbilical cord still attached, crack pipe in hand, still smoking. As we walk up, the placenta falls out, which for anyone who knows, is a sign that this isn't her first, second, or third rodeo. We found out later that this was kid number 7 with daddy number 5. My team goes to work on the baby, the other crew goes to work on mom. Turns out mom had been smoking crack all night, and when the baby fell out of her, thought nothing of the fact that it was blue. Then this conversation happened. Isn't my baby beautiful? My partner, honey. Unless his father is a smurf. He's not supposed to be that color. So we work the kid up, get the kid ventilated, get IV access, and the kid rapidly improves. We get the kid out to my bus, and get him packaged. My partner goes back in the get the placenta, and then has the fight the women's giant pet rabbit for it. The kid did fine and was placed into foster care. My ex-boyfriend, now deceased, invited his friend over to my mother's house while I was at work. They broke in through a back window and helped themselves to my late grandfather's extremely expensive vintage bottle of scotch that my mother was saving for a special occasion, which they drank straight from the bottle, shirtless in the front yard. I came home when the police called me due to neighbors reporting gunshots fired from my yard. My ex and his buddy were having a little target practice on our neighbor's orange tree. The cops found heroin, weed, and Xanax on them, even without mentioning the orange tree. It's really not hard to guess what state this took place in. Florida man strikes again. Downtown Tempe on Nye. About 15 years ago we were walking back to our cars after midnight, when we spotted some police surrounding a big green electric junction box. As we got closer we found it was 2 totally naked homeless people, a guy and a girl. They were doing it doggy style behind the box and determined to finish. When they realized the cops weren't willing to touch them in the act, they started waddling around and waving to the crowd like it was a parade. The dude still humping her like a rabbit. Mace was sprayed. Batons used as pry bars. At one point the guy got his concentration on and looked like he was actually going to finish. Nothing stopped them until a taser was deployed and they both fell face first onto Mill Street like sacks of concrete. The woman got tased via their connection as far as I could tell. The whole scene lasted upwards of 15 minutes. I'm still both scarred and entertained thinking of it. When I was preteen I ate some bad food at a restaurant. We went to Target after and my stomach literally instantly turned sour as we entered. I went to the bathroom and I'd shit. 5 minutes later I'd need to shit again. So I just decided I'd stay in there till I was sure it was empty. This went on to the point that I told my parents to go to the other stores they wanted to hit and just hit me up after. About 10 minutes into the ordeal I hear people come it. I'm thinking great, no way they won't hear and smell this. They'll probably turn right around. Then I see 3 pairs of feet in the stall beside me. 1 female and 2 male. These trashy people had a full-on threesome in the Target bathroom while I'm shooting out sloppy wet turds that smell like death incarnate 3 feet away with just a stall wall in between us. I only ever saw their feet, but I'm counting it as something I experienced. My dad caught my ex, who I was dating at the time, getting fingered by random guys on the beach while her mom was with him. I'm glad he told me. What a real bro. And what a trashy bitch. I was outside a bar smoking with some friends when a car pulls up. Some woman opens the passenger door and starts peeing all over the curb. Cops an attitude, what the f are you staring at? You people are disgusting. She then wipes with a napkin, throws it at us and slams the door shut as the driver peels out. A crackhead couple on a bench at 1 in the afternoon on a very busy pathway. Kids and families everywhere. Was outside for a smoke downtown one night. We have a place called House of Pong, where you can drink and play ping pong. Well, a rather large black woman and her man go walking by. He stops to look at the sign. The woman turns around and says, "You want to play ping pong? How about these ping pongs?" Semicolon. Proceeds to pull out her ginormous breasts and lures him over into a full-on motorboating session in the middle of the street. Made my night. I'm from a town in the UK that is notorious for being an absolute trashfest, so I have quite a few stories to tell. I remember one time, though, I saw an old bearded man drop a cigarette in a puddle of vomit, then pick it back up and continue smoking it. I was riding Greyhound, so I should have expected some shit. During the course of my trip, 2 passengers, one male, the other female, got to talking, and it turned out that they had both been released from prison recently. The guy had a bottle of liquor which they started sharing. This led to him performing oral sex on her, legs up on the seat in front of them, and eventually full on Somehow they were not asked to get off the bus. Greyhound at its finest. The location doesn't much matter, in my experience. If you're on a Greyhound, you're in Florida. 2 girls fighting over a guy in the front yard of a party. One of them had her boyfriend at the party. He was not the guy they were fighting over. The other had a lovely 4-year-old daughter that she'd left alone at home and later lost custody of. An obese lady feeding her baby Mountain Dew in a baby bottle in Walmart. What appeared to be a mother in her mid-40s and her 2 daughters who were in their late teens, early 20s giving a group of guys blowjobs at Mardi Gras. They, the girls, were all kneeling in the middle of the circle of 6 to 8 guys, tops off, and were just going back and forth among the guys, sucking them off, while the guys were shooting pics and video with their cell phones. I guess those guys had some really cool beads. Finished work and was coming out of the staff entrance, which happens to be a fairly sketchy laneway on the north side of Dublin city centre, and saw a junkie couple doing the nasty, which wouldn't be that bad if it wasn't that the only thing that was concealing them was their 2 or 3-year-old kid sitting in a pram facing the other way. It kind of just made me feel sad thinking of the life that child is going to have, but yeah, it was also trashy to